So we've got a bunch of questions that Tash, you put a little question box on your Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and we got a few questions through. So we're basically just gonna answer those questions in this episode. We've got like literally a bit of everything, everything to do with period recovery. So
Yeah.
we'll we'll just sort of we'll just sort of roll with it and see what answers we come up with. I haven't really planned any answers, so
No,
I'm
me
hoping I can just
neither.
think of stuff on the top of my head.
Yeah, me neither. I read through the questions and like I'm just like, yeah, I'll have answers for them. So I didn't like properly think about it, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm the
better that
same.
way. Just kind of like just see what comes out and what we're feeling.
Yeah, I like that. I like it when it's just off the cuff. First question was, should cervical mucus be present after ovulation in the luteal phase?
Mm. Okay,
So,
so
do
do
you
you want
want to
me
start?
to
Yeah.
go?
You can tell we
Okay.
haven't planned this very well because we're just like, do you
Yeah,
want
I
to go? Do I
know.
want to go?
That's fine. So obviously your cervical mucus changes throughout the cycle when everyone's is completely different. So it's like working out your pattern. But usually when you're in the luteal phase after ovulation, it mostly dries up because cervical mucus is like related to estrogen, and the more estrogen you have present, the more like cervical mucus you have. So really you shouldn't have a very high estrogen going on in that second half. It's more progesterone that's the dominant hormone. So technically it shouldn't be that much. I've got a client that we just kind of sorted out her cycle. She was getting like abundant cervical mucus the whole way through. And even when we wasn't really sure about ovulation, she was thinking she was ovulating, but her temps weren't amazing. But then her like LH strips, like ovulation strips, were kind of indicating that she was very close to ovulation. Obviously, they can't confirm ovulation. Yeah, and so she was getting like really abundant throughout the whole cycle. So we kind of like we did a few things and sorted that out, and then she was a lot drier when she actually did ovulate, and she's getting a bit freaked out. She's like, oh my god, I've never been this dry. And it's like you should be, really, you should kind of see a shift. You shouldn't have so much. What do you think? What would you say?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Oh, this is a good sign that I'm getting, cervical mucus.
Mm,
And yes, it is like you want
yeah,
cervical mucus, but at the
because you
same
go from
time,
zero, don't you? You go from like zero when you're in the midst of amenorrhea to getting some. So you're just like, yes, this is amazing.
yeah, and you're like, oh my God. And then I think it often feels like a lot when you're not used to having any. But
Mm,
at the same time, you do want it to sort of, you want your cervical mucus to vary with your cycle. And that's just like a sign that your hormones are actually fluctuating as they should be.
mm,
If it's there
mm-hmm.
all the time, it's kind of, to me, it kind of indicates that your hormone levels aren't necessarily sort of, they're not varying enough. If does that make
Yeah.
sense?
No, 100%.
So yeah, so I guess I think it's okay to have like some cervical mucus after you ovulate, but it shouldn't be there shouldn't be loads. Like that's such a
Yeah.
vague answer. I feel like cervical mucus does vary a lot from person to person. That's why it's kind of hard to answer it
Mm.
properly.
Yeah. So I was going to say, just going off that thread, that, yeah, the client that I was on about, hers was like the stretchy kind of really egg whitey that she was getting when after she thought she was ovulating more in the depths of the luteal phase, which was a bit not really right there. There was too much estrogen present, and we don't think that she properly ovulated, really. It was a bit staggered, her temperatures and stuff. So yeah, I think we've probably answered that.
Yeah, something actually I just want to mention when you're saying there's too much estrogen, so that could
Mm.
either be that she literally does have really high estrogen, or it could be that her progesterone is like really low, and that can sort
Mm.
of imbalance the estrogen and progesterone. So I guess if someone is experiencing that, like blood tests are probably the best way to go to determine
Mm.
like, you know, is your progesterone fluctuating throughout like the cycle? So just something to add on
Yeah,
there.
and if you're actually like ovulating, or if you're having this bleed, so you're thinking you're ovulating, but you're actually not, and you're not seeing those shifts, like you said, it should shift along with the hormones. So yeah,
Yeah, 100%. So hopefully we answered that question.
yeah. So the next one was, this is kind of a strange one. I've never had this one, to be fair. What's your favorite sanitary products or best brand of period pants?
I love this question. I really actually love this question. I mean, for me, I've always been like a pad girl. Like I always just use pads. I don't like
Mhm.
tampons. I've never tried is it called a moon cup? Like a menstrual cup. I've never
Yeah,
tried one of those.
me neither.
Um
I actually haven't.
so I've always just liked pads because I just find them like quite easy, even though they sometimes don't feel that nice to wear, but
Mm. But
they're
sometimes
just
it's
so
good as
easy.
well to see what is coming out in that respect. Sometimes I like it for that.
Yeah, actually,
Actually
that's
see
a
like the
really good
flow, the
point.
color, etc.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually, because the color especially, you can really tell like with a pad. So
Mm.
if you aren't sure, like, whether your period is like optimal yet, you can see like, is it a crimson red? Is it a bright red? Is it brown? And
Mm.
that's probably a lot harder to do if you're using tampons.
Yeah, I think it is. Um, I do like to have period pants though, more so because of like the environment and also the toxins that come along with standard period pants or tampons. You can get like non-toxic ones, but a lot of the time they have got a load of crap in them basically. So I like Modi Body. Have you ever tried like any period pants at all?
No, I've only tried. So there's a brand called, I think it's called Love Fresh Cherries, and I did
Oh.
like an Instagram collab post with them like a couple of weeks ago, and they sent me a pair of their period pants, and I'd never really used them before then, but I really like those. They're really like soft and comfortable.
Yeah.
But that's like the only brand I've ever tried.
Yeah, I've only ever tried Molly Body to be fair, and the exact same comment. I would say that they're really soft and really comfortable. And I've only got like a few light pairs in that, not like the heavy kind of like overnight, which potentially won't be as comfortable. But yeah, I do really like them because then as well, it depends how like weird you want to get, but you obviously can soak them out, can't you? And
Yeah.
I and then I usually feed my plants with that in the water.
Oh
Have you
my
ever
God,
heard about
really?
that? Yeah, have you ever
No.
heard about that? Okay, so you're looking like you are a weirdo.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of what I'm thinking right now, but
Okay, so basically, if you like look it up, it really like enriches the soil and is really great for plants and they like flourish. So it's
oh
like
my
giving
God.
back to the earth. So that's like what I don't know, more like I don't know, spiritual. I don't really like to use that word. Kind of mentality around it.
Yeah,
So
it
don't
kind of
knock it
makes
until you
sense
tried
though.
it.
No, that does make sense to be fair, because there's going to be like minerals and things in there that the
Yes,
plant
yes,
can
there is.
use. And
Yeah.
I guess like you mentioned before about the like sustainability, if that is like a really big thing for you, then moon cups or menstrual cups and period pads are probably like the best way to go. Although there are a lot
Mhm.
of brands, like you said, that are offering environmentally friendly like pads and tampons. So
Yeah.
there's definitely
Yeah.
been a shift towards that.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think
Yeah,
that kind of
so
answers it? I
yeah,
guess.
I think
Don't
so.
really,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't really
I
have like a
think
fave.
yeah, so like I think a lot of it is just like trial and error, like just see what you like, because you're not really gonna know unless you try them all, really.
And then kind of keep trying it as well. Like say, like for the tampon, for example. Yeah, some people obviously really struggle, but you can just keep trying it and you might end up really liking it as well. As I'm assuming the moon cups are the same. I've had like a few friends that say they're really difficult at the start, and then once you got the hang of it, they're all good. So yeah,
Yeah, just give them a go.
basically.
So the next question we got was, how long does it take to recover from HA? I bet you get this question a lot. Even I get this
Yeah.
question a lot.
Yeah, and I wish I knew the answer. Wouldn't it be great if you actually could tell someone, oh right, I'm looking at your history, so this is how long it's going to take.
That
But
would be
obviously
amazing.
it would be good, wouldn't it? But obviously, like everyone is totally different with different backgrounds. Your body's different. Your body reacts differently. Like how sensitive it is. Genetics plays a role. Like I might have mentioned before that my mum lost her period when she was on like Weight Watchers. So yeah, your body kind of has a weight where it feels most comfortable at settling at. So it's really hard to determine how long it's going to really take. I think the average is like 6 months, and I believe that's like going for it kind of thing, not like I'm dipping my foot in it and I'm kind of ish trying. I believe. What would you say?
Yeah, I've heard, I think most people it's about 6 months, but that's like you said, there are so many factors that go into how long is it going to take you to recover? It depends on how long you've had it, you know, the reason why you have it, your lifestyle, your genetics, you know, there's so many different things. And also, you know, how much are you putting into your recovery? Like, you could
Mm,
half-arse it and then it could take you like 12 months, or you can go all in and it takes you 3 months. I've
mm,
even heard of people who have got their period back after a month of going, you know, all in. So there's literally
yeah,
no one answer, which is a shame,
yeah.
because it would be nice if there was one answer, because then you're like, right, I just need to do this for this long, I can get my period back. But it is not like
Mm.
that.
Sometimes I think it's kind of good that it takes a little bit longer rather than, let's say, a month, because often I'd feel like you are not like mentally recovered then. You're like physically recovered, but you haven't really worked on all maybe the issues you have around exercise, or food is the big one. Or like, and chilling out. That's so common that a lot of people just can't chill out. They just literally don't want to sit on the sofa. They just always want to be doing stuff. So maybe it takes a little bit longer to work on those kind of things as well. So it is kind of beneficial for it to be a bit longer as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I thought I
completely agree
lost you
with
then.
that.
You froze. Mhm.
Yeah, you froze a little bit on mine as well,
Uh,
but I just about managed to hear what you said. But I completely agree with that, because I feel like a lot, obviously you've got the physical side to recovery, but a lot of it is mental. Like, you need to make mental changes, and they take a long time to make. So I think
mm,
sometimes a longer recovery feels like a curse when you're in it, but you will probably come out of it a bit stronger, because you've had the time to come to terms with the changes.
mm. Less likely to relapse basically back into your old ways.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
how long did it
Um
actually take you to recover?
well, I don't even know for me, because the first few like recovery periods that I had were just like out of the blue. I didn't even really know what HA was at the time.
Mm,
And so I hadn't made any changes to my lifestyle. They just came out of nowhere. And then I had like three. And because I didn't really know anything about HA and I wasn't really trying to recover my period, it kind of disappeared again. And then it came back and I had like random ones for like the next year. So I don't really know, because it kind of just came out of nowhere for me. But I think
yeah.
in total, from like the first recovery period to now, it's been like 2 years.
Yeah. You can be really sensitive for a long time after.
Yeah.
So that's
How
something
about you?
to
How
bear
long
in
did it
mind.
take you to recover yours?
So from stopping the pill to actually getting it back, it was just under 2 years to recover. But I wasn't going fully in them 2 years. I didn't even investigate it for 6 months. And then I was like half-assing it for a little while. So I think it was about 4 to 5 months of actually 100% going like all in. That's how long it kind of took.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, it's sort of like, if you go half in with it and then you go all in, it'll probably be, as like a general guideline, if you go all in, I would say maybe like 6 months you can
Mm,
expect to get your period back. But it it could be longer than that, it could be shorter. But
mm.
if you're sort of half arsing it, it will probably be more like 12 to 24
Maybe
months.
longer. Potentially, yeah. I'd say you're most likely going to get it back within the 6 month mark if you're going fully in, if you're really dedicated. I can't
Yeah.
see why you wouldn't, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, even though it's so difficult to put a number on it, but I think
Yeah,
6 months.
yeah, is what you'd be looking at.
Yeah, yeah. So the next question, where are we up to? So, how to know if I have ovulated? Oh, this is a good question, and I feel like this is one that we could do like a whole episode on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. 'Cause there's lots of like variations and little niggly things that could happen. Um, so do you want me to go into it a little bit, like brief?
Yeah, you can start. I can start. I don't mind.
Okay, you go.
Yeah. Okay. So, how to know if you've ovulated? I think. Well, I'll base it off what I sort of look at
Hmm.
first. So, I track my temperatures, and I would recommend that everybody does,
Yeah.
even if somebody doesn't have HA. I think it's so good to track your temperatures and just
Oh yeah.
like check your cycle, and that's probably one of the most like reliable methods of seeing if you've ovulated, because if you have, you're going to get the nice sort of spike in your temperature. I think tracking your temperature is a really good way to check if you've ovulated, and also looking at your cervical mucus. So we kind of mentioned it a bit in the answer to the first question. If you've ovulated, or if you're going to, you'll get that egg white cervical mucus where it's like sticky, it stretches. So if you just, I know it sounds a bit disgusting, but just get a bit off the tissue and
Yeah.
stretch it between your finger and
Yeah.
your thumb. And if it stretches, a few inches, then that's the kind of cervical mucus you're looking for. But even with that one
I think
though,
that's actually just fine there. Like, oh, I was just gonna say, I just think that's quite cool as well. Like when I wasn't getting any, and then I started to, I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh my god, wow! Like it being so stretchy, it like fascinated me basically.
yeah, it's really, like, it is crazy. Like, I think the only thing with like cervical mucus is, again, like we mentioned in that at the start of the podcast, you can get that kind of cervical mucus at like random times in your cycle when you are first getting your period back, and at the same
Mm,
time you might not even get that much of it even
mm,
when you have ovulated. So
mm,
that's why I would say track your temperatures as well.
mm-hmm.
um what's your, like, or I guess what methods did you use to track ovulation when you were like, first going through recovery?
Yeah. So there's another one, but it's not that common. That's checking your cervical position as well. Because usually when you've ovulated, it's like more open, more soft, and rises up, generally speaking, for most people. Obviously, that's a bit more trickier. So I was always looking at my cervical mucus and temperature, like you said, because the temperatures don't lie really. So basically, you'll see that spike that should be like 0.3 degrees or more stay risen for at least 3 days, which is produced, that like temperature spikes is because of progesterone, which is released when you ovulate, and that's a heat inducing hormone. So yeah, you'll see that spike, and then you'll see it for like, I don't know, 10 to 14 days, and you should have your period or you'll be pregnant. There's like little anomalies, like if you've drunk alcohol, it can spike. If you're ill, you've got a fever, you've had like vaccinations, things like that. You've not had a great sleep, you need about 3 to 4 hours of consecutive sleep for it to be good. Sometimes even like right now, like it's really hot, isn't it? It's like 30 degrees or something. I'm sitting here like absolutely roasting, aren't we? Because we can't put a fan on. So like even in things like this, like I've had a client today message me and been like, my temperatures are quite high. I think it's just because like I've got it in a hot room, my thermometer, I'm really hot in general. And I was like, yeah, that definitely can play a role. So there's different things that you got to think about as well. But otherwise, it's pretty good to tell you if you've ovulated.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that, actually, because it's something I didn't think to mention about. There are other things that can affect your temperature. Like, even if you've had like a really large meal, like just before you went to sleep, your temperature might be higher because
Mm,
it's going to increase your metabolic rate a little bit. So yeah, that's a good point. Is you
mm.
are going to get a few little, fluctuations here and there, but I think looking at like the general pattern of your temperatures is one of the best ways to check if you've ovulated, for sure.
Mm, yeah. And also some people, if they're getting like irregular temperatures or they're not quite sure, what I've heard as well as another tip is to put it in your mouth, the thermometer, wait like 2 minutes and then turn it on and take your temperature. So it kind of adjusts to your kind of, I don't know, your temperature in your mouth, and then you take it rather than the room's temperature if you stick it straight in, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
sometimes if you're having like really trouble, they're up and down, you're like, I don't know if my thermometer's broke, sometimes that can be quite good, just waiting and then taking your temperature.
Yeah, I never thought to do that, but yeah, that's a good idea. Or even like, there are some people who say that you should keep the thermometer in your mouth for like 10 minutes, because that's like the
Mm,
most accurate reading. But I mean, I'm
yeah.
not sure who has time to sit there for 10 minutes in the
Yeah.
morning, but I mean, if you really, really want to get it accurate, then maybe try
Yeah.
that.
No, it makes sense, but again, I don't do that either. I even like it probably lasts like, was it a minute or something? But that minute feels like forever because you can't talk or open your mouth. You want to get out of bed for a wee, like it's really annoying. But yeah, that would definitely make it more accurate for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully that's answered that question. Like I said, we could talk about
Yeah.
that forever, but
Yeah, you could go into more depth for sure. And also like talking about LH, like ovulation strips and stuff. But yeah, maybe that'd be another time. The next one was, what was your first recovery period like? Oh, we kind of ish spoke about that, kind of.
yeah,
But
I can't even really remember what mine was like. Like I can't remember how long it was. I can't remember the color of the blood. I can't remember how I felt. I don't
you
know
can't
if I
remember how you
ovulated.
felt.
No, like
How
I
do you
can't.
not?
I don't know because, like I said, it just came out of nowhere, and I remember being like, "Oh my god, I've got a period," because I knew it had been like so many years, but at the same time, I didn't really think that much about it. Like I wish I'd been like tracking my temperatures or keeping a diary or something back then, but I just wasn't. So I really
Mm.
can't remember.
Ah, so I kind of remember, like I did write the date down. I can't remember. It was on some like um spiritual season. Like I can't remember what it was, but it was like rebirthing. That was the day that it came. And then I wrote it all down somewhere. But obviously I was like super excited. I didn't expect it because I was tracking my temperature, got fed up because it was doing nothing. It was like stagnant, stopped tracking it, and then got it. So then I literally picked it back up again. So yeah, I don't know anything like that, but yeah, I just remember being like super excited. I think I cried as well. Like, yeah, you just think, oh my god, it's so worth it. I actually think as well, which is probably quite bad because obviously it kind of relates to body image and stuff. I think one of the first things I did as well was step on the scales and be like, yes, this is the, like, I don't need to put any more weight on. This is going to be the weight that my body's obviously happy at, which is a bit ridiculous to be honest. But I think I did do that, to be fair.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people do that,
Yeah, because it's just kind of,
especially.
sometimes you don't know how much you need to put on. Obviously that's not the be all and end all, that you need to put on weight and bang, your period's gonna come. But yeah, like it was obviously in my head before I'd done a lot of work around body image and stuff. Yeah, just like, oh, how much will I weigh, like, yeah, what does my body feel comfortable at? And then to get your period, you obviously think, okay, my body must feel safe like right now. So yeah.
Yeah, it's weird though because like mine came out of nowhere when it was actually in the middle of the first lockdown, and even now, like I said, my periods are still like really sensitive now, and I'm like a
Mm,
lot heavier than I was back then. And back then I was still like working out every day, and
mm,
I still had like not necessarily a really restricted mindset around food, but it wasn't as freeing as free and open and whatever as it is now. What's the word? Spontaneous,
mm.
that's what I'm looking for. um but then I had a period, so it's like sometimes weight isn't really anything
No.
to do with it. So
What do you think it is for you right now then? Do you think there's some like stress going on, like mental stress or
yeah, I
sleep?
think
Like, are you not sleeping great? Even with food though, it could be that some people like save a lot of their food till the evening. So you might be like, I'm eating X amount of calories, it's all good, but you're not eating it regularly. Your body's still like in the mini deficits throughout the day. Even things like that can affect it.
yeah, I used to be like that. I used to be, even like when I had my first period, like back then, I was that kind of person who just, like, my natural hunger was so much higher in the evenings, and I used to like sort of save up my calories. I don't do that
Mm,
anymore, but I think for me, like, I know when I've had a really stressful time with work that it's probably going to impact my cycle. So I think
mm,
for me a lot of it is like psychological stress. If I've had like a longer period, it's probably because of that.
yeah.
So, it all comes down to just, I guess, knowing your body and its limits, really.
Yeah, which I'm so much better at now, and can tell when I'm kind of a bit more out of aligned or going down the other path. Um, yeah, that's like one of the benefits for sure of getting your period back.
Yeah, for sure. So we've Zoom has just told us that we've only got 10 minutes left, which is
Oh, okay,
annoying. So
that's
maybe
fine.
we'll answer, like, should we answer one
Yeah,
more and
yeah,
then we can maybe do like another episode
yeah,
in the future?
yeah, sure.
So
So it's you now, isn't it? I
yeah,
think.
so the last one we'll answer is, how soon after restoring levels on blood work can I expect a bleed? Um, I feel like this is like an unanswerable question.
Soon after restoring them. Yeah,
Because it's like, we don't
because
know.
and also restoring them is amazing, like well done for doing that,
100%, yeah.
but it doesn't mean anything necessarily. Like when I lost my period, I had normal blood work, like normal levels. Often clients I have come to me and they've got normal levels too. So that's not the be all and end all if your results are still normal. It's the same with like BMI or weight restored. I get that quite a lot. Like, oh, I'm weight restored now, or I'm now at a normal weight, which again is absolutely bloody amazing. But like again, just using me an example, I was considered normal weight, normal BMI, lost my period. It's again not the be all and end all, which is annoying. I know. But you got, I suppose
Yeah.
you've got to look at the other signs, haven't you? Like, are you getting like more energy? Have you got cervical mucus now? Like, are you feeling not so cold anymore? Some other signs that it's going to come back kind of soonish.
Yeah, blood work is obviously, like, it's amazing if you can get your blood work within the normal ranges, but that isn't really, it's not like the main thing I think to focus on necessarily, because there are all these other factors. And the issue with blood work in general is that your estrogen and progesterone, especially progesterone, can vary so much throughout the cycle. And
Mm,
if you don't know how long your cycle is and you don't know when you're ovulating, you don't really know what your progesterone should be. Do you know what
yeah.
I mean?
Well, yeah, in a way, yeah. And you won't be ovulating at that current time too. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like it depends when you got the day that you actually got them blood taken. It completely depends whereabouts you are in your cycle. And even like I've seen with people having high prolactin, and it just been because they were a bit stressed on that day having blood work, and they've gone and done it again, it's dropped right down to a normal level. So yeah, even things like that can be triggering and change your levels.
Yeah, because your blood work can literally change within a day depending on like
Mm,
what's going on in your life. So to answer the question, like, uh, it's something that you don't really know. You're just gonna have to wait it out. Like, keep doing what you're
mm,
doing and keep focusing
yeah.
on recovery, and it will come. But I wouldn't focus like so much on the blood work, because I guess that just adds a bit of extra stress to like
Mm,
your mind.
yeah, like it shows you're doing the right things for sure. Like 100%, it shows that what you're doing is right. So you probably have hypothalamic amenorrhea. So just keep on going. Um, yeah, and I'm sure that you will definitely get a bleed in the near future.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm.
So we'll round it up there because we've not got long left. And we
Mm-hmm.
like, with so many more questions, but we'll have to maybe go through them in like another episode, or I don't
Yeah.
know, weave them into another episode, because we're going to do a few more in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully this was helpful for everybody listening. And if you've got any other questions,
Mm.
then, like, ask me or Tash on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And we might do like, a bunch more Q&As in the future if we get a lot of questions.
Yeah,
um
sure.
yeah, is there anything you want to say to finish off?
No, not really. Just exactly what you said. Like if you have other questions or maybe you need something a bit clarified of what we said, just reach out to us on Instagram. And yeah, hopefully we can help and give our input.
Yeah, I really hope this was helpful for everyone. And yeah, you'll have to wait for the next episode because we've got loads more planned.
Yeah.